Brilliant. So, welcome. And I wonder, for those of you who haven't muted your mics yet, Elise, I'm just going to mute yours. Yeah, everyone else is fine. Brilliant. Good. So, this isn't so much a meditation as more of an invitation. So, this is really an invitation just to attune to what's present here for you. And I suppose this is my take on what meditation is. It's really an invitation to tenderly attune to whatever's happening for you moment by moment. Sometimes meditation carries a lot of, just that word in itself carries a lot of baggage. There are some teachings that would impose a specific type of posture, specific type of breathing, what you should focus on, what you shouldn't focus on, what's worthy of your attention and what isn't. This invitation is not about that. This invitation is about allowing everything to unfold just as it is. So with that, notice if you can take care that your body feels as comfortable as it can feel in this moment. And nobody can do that for you better than you. No yoga teacher, no breath work teacher, no guru can attend more exquisitely to your comfort than yourself. And see if you can rest in that knowing that perhaps on some level you are already the comfort that you seek. You already have within you that which you need to bring about wholeness, healing. And in this moment, there might be parts of you that are a little bit uncertain about this. Maybe some thoughts that really cannot comprehend the idea that you already have that which you seek. Those parts are welcome too. So with that in mind, see if you can roll out the welcome mat. for everything. Or like in Rumi's guest house, we're unlocking the door, keeping it wide open for our most sacred visitors. See if you can welcome them and make space as they enter through the threshold of your consciousness. These travelers have journeyed for a very, very long time. And maybe they're tired. See if you can point this sacred guest to its space at the infinite table of self, where there's nourishment aplenty. And with that, notice if your body shifts, relaxes, lets go a little. Let's not fight gravity. Let's allow her to draw us in. I like to think of gravity as the Earth's way of wanting to embrace us and hold us closer. Let's let that happen. And see if you can attune to your breath. Notice if there are any perfectionistic parts. That really want to get this right. And see if you can reassure them that whatever's happening right now is the right thing. Whatever is in the way is the way. And see if you can notice that beneath any contraction, any ache, any tension, there is a pool of infinite loving energy. You can let that energy really wash over you. Sweet, sweet nectar. Golden light. So this journey of remembering who you are isn't one of doing, learning more, acquiring more knowledge. Although that can be helpful to a point. It's more about undoing and finding that which is already present and always has been. It isn't about acquiring or finding love. It's about removing the blocks to love, the walls that we have in good faith as a way of keeping us safe that we built. And those walls at some point truly protected us, kept us safe. And with this gentle witnessing, we slowly remove the wall brick by brick, layer by layer, to reveal pristine, unharmed, untouched, glorious self, that which you are. That which you've always been and you will forever be, even after the body passes. No matter how thick the scar tissue of the trauma that you've endured, something beneath knows perfect safety, perfect love. Why do I know that? Every time a part calls out for safety, calls out to be loved, it must be able to witness in itself not in safety and not in love, and it must know that at some point there was safety and love. Otherwise, it wouldn't notice that it's come out of the safety and love. If the parts weren't aware of it, they wouldn't have had a previous knowing. So no matter how early the onset of trauma, even in the fetal phase, those parts must have, at some point, known perfect love in order to call out for it. And in a way, every call for healing is really a call for love, from love. It's from that essence of yourself that knows that beneath the turmoil, there is and always has been the knowing of perfect love. So perfect love is our inheritance, is what we come in with, is what we are born with. A brand newborn baby is immersed in a total state of self. I don't know how old my daughter was, but I remember at one point she twigged that she was separate from me, and it happened when someone else was holding her. I don't know if she was 9 months old, and she looked at me from far away, and I could just hear the thought process that was going on, and it would have been something like, hang on a second, if mummy's over there, then who's this person holding me? I must be separate. So until that point, the baby is really immersed in oneness. And it is this perfect oneness that the parts are seeking. They want to return. They know this essence. It's like the forgotten song. You know, that echo inside all of us. We can sense that somehow beneath everything, there's just calm and love. And for some parts, this knowing is a little bit more in the forefront, and for other parts it's buried very, very deeply, but it's there. These are the inner laws of physics that we talk about. And the key point is that everybody has a self. Not only that, each part has self energy. So we know deep down, we know this place. Faintest of echoes. It seems to be buried so deeply. And this really reminds me of the metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly. And within each caterpillar, there are cells, specific cells that are designed to help the caterpillar grow into a butterfly. Those are called the imaginal cells. And initially, when it is time for the caterpillar to come out of its shell, of its nest, the imaginal cells, as they start to wake up and work the transformative magic, the caterpillar resists this. It's like it's forgotten its essence deep, deep down. It's forgotten that its purpose is to be a butterfly. And yet the seeds of this transformation have been planted ever since. And initially there is a bit of a battle where there's a great resistance, lack of trust, uncertainty. And then eventually the imaginal cells, a little bit like self-energy, succeeds with gentleness, with kindness, with love, and leads the transformation into a butterfly. And for those of you who have done IFS practices, this can feel very much like what happens when we invite the parts to imagine that we have a self, that there already is a fantastically capable essence that can lead our inner world with the 8 C's, with confidence, with creativity, with courage, compassion, clarity, curiosity, connection, and calm. And initially, most parts will resist this and they'll go, absolutely not. I've never met such a person in my inner world or such a thing. Hand on heart, I don't know what you're talking about. Just as the cells in the caterpillar are rejected. And then slowly but surely, perseverance, one of the P's of self, patience, other P's of self. Self energy takes hold, takes footing, gently, calmly spreads throughout, sharing the good news. And there may be some angry parts. Where were you when we needed you? If you've always been here, then where were you when I was going through those difficult times? And that's a very good question from the parts to ask. Where was this deep, loving, nurturing essence when I felt so low, so unloved? And in IFS, we speak about Richard, in very eloquent ways, has expanded on what self is, and he poses that self has this dual essence of both the particle and the wave. And the wave is completely unchanging. It's permanently there. So to answer the parts, where were you? Self was always there. This wave form, this transpersonal aspect of the self. Now that might be not such a comforting or soothing thing to hear from your parts, but let's just finish this off. The self as a particle does indeed need a certain amount of brain circuitry in order to fully mature, in order to fully function. And as a child, when we were going through a very difficult time, unfortunately, our self wasn't capable So in that way, we needed to borrow the self of our caregivers. Now, very often for a lot of us, our caregivers weren't able to model to us self-leadership. But the self as a wave was always there, always present. Self as a particle wasn't quite available, wasn't quite ready to protect us and keep us safe. But it is now. And that might be very hard for our parts to understand, to accept. So there may be a lot of anger there. And self has space for that. Self is capable for holding any feelings, even if they are aimed at itself. Just as the imaginal cells in what will be a butterfly, they don't give up, no matter how much the other cells attack it, try to stop it, resist it. The imaginal cells do what they were made to. They continue transforming, flourishing, and ultimately bringing the transformation into a butterfly. That's what there was no other way that this process could go. So in some way, healing is automatically installed in us. And this is when I say that what you seek, the healing that you seek, is already within. It's this that I'm pointing to. It cannot go any other way. The key message here is that Self is here now. In some essence and form, it's always been there. And it's helping you ever so gently loosen the brick and mortar of the burdens. Stone by stone, brick by brick. So that we don't have to brace so much. So that we can let gravity do its job. We can let the earth support us. We can allow our bodies to heal us. They too have these imaginal cells that flourish. And healing is not so much a doing, but a being, returning to being. We are human beings, not human doings. So see if you can really allow the imaginal cells of yourself, your inner self, to really carry you, to support you. Springtime, where I am in the Northern Hemisphere, is such a fantastic time to resurrect, revive, if you think about the imagery of springtime, the image of the egg, and see what happens with the egg. If an outer force breaks the shell of the egg, life ends. But if the inner force from within the egg breaks the shell, life begins. So transformation always happens from inside out. This is such a beautiful time of the year to really allow the flourishing, the fruiting, the flowering, sweet, sweet flourishing. Really letting each breath refresh, revive, renew, and remember the essence of who you are. And this toil, this struggle seems to have been written in to what it means to be a living, breathing, conscious being. One of the most ancient stories of metamorphosis is that of Inanna. And this is the goddess or the queen of heaven. And as she descends, she enters the underworld. This is reminiscent of the heroine or the hero or the heroic parts journey. And she descends, and after sometimes she's killed. And 3 days after Inanna rises, she is resurrected. And this is how the healing journey can feel. We seem to be perpetually shedding layers, skins of ourselves. To live a long life is really to attend to 1,000 funerals of yourself. There's something about being able to grieve skillfully, lovingly. So each of our parts is right now undertaking its own heroic journey, the journey to healing. And at the same time, at the deepest layer, the deepest essence of us, we're already healed. We're already that which we seek. This is the paradox. Sometimes it's called Leela or divine play. At once, we're both already healed and apparently undergoing a journey to healing. We have a real push and pull with this paradox here. Something deep down in us knows that we're already that which we seek, and yet we continually find ourselves looking for healing in the external world. Nothing wrong with that. But it's just to notice that this struggle, this push and pull, trying to reconcile this paradox of both knowing ourselves as self and burdened parts. And I think this is what the great thinkers like Goethe, this is what he meant when he said, unless you are constantly practicing it, this dying and being reborn, you are only a guest on this planet. Unless you are constantly practicing it, this dying and being reborn, you are only a guest on this planet. So there's something in human life that appears to be built in with this aspect of metamorphosis, of metaphorical death and rebirth and death and rebirth, these sort of endless cycles. And these can happen frequently. Within a single day, we can lose ourselves and find ourselves, and lose ourselves and find ourselves. It's like sort of hide and seek. Oh, here's self. Oh, now it's gone. Here's self. Now it's gone. Endless loops. The one, the zero, seems to have a twist in it. Infinity loops. So as we come to the end of this meditation, if it feels right, see if you can thank any parts of yourself that have joined you on this journey. And if any trailheads surfaced, see if you can set an intention to get back to these parts, to these trailheads, so that they can show you where the pain is, and what's in the way is the way. Deep, deep down, far, far in, buried under layers, there are the imaginal cells, or self-energy, already hidden in plain sight, transforming you, healing you, enlivening you, enlightening you, filling you with light. This is a process that will continue, even if there are parts of you that reject it or that don't know it. So before we come back to our group, our shared space, see if you can just allow yourself to take a more of a conscious breath, really inviting flow energy into the body. Maybe you need to move a little bit, yawn a little bit, sigh. Maybe some neck rolls. Maybe a drink of water. Just see what feels right.